Good afternoon, guys. Last session we started the Sling models, right? So I will give the summary what we discussed in the last session, and then we'll start today's session. Okay. So last session we started the basic things like what is Sling model, what is Sling model, okay, and second one is we discussed like what is Sling model and what is the definition for the Sling model, okay, and second one is how many ways we can adopt the Sling models. How many ways we can adapt the Sling models? Adapt the Sling models, okay? We can adapt the Sling models in two ways. So the first one is resource dot class. Resource dot class. Okay. Second one is Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Servlet I can say request dot class.
Sir, voice is not audible, sir.
Okay. How many ways we can adapt the Sling models? We can adapt the Sling models in two ways. One is the resource dot class. Second one is the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. And the next important thing is annotations. What are the annotations we have in Java? I will say we have in Sling models. So the annotations are like so in the last session we discussed like few annotations only. So today we will discuss some of more annotations. So the first one is the model, and second one is value map value, and third one is the rate named annotation, and fourth one is at the rate inject, and at the rate self annotation, and at the rate OEJ service annotation. OEJ, I can say this is all should be in the uppercase. OEJ service annotation, and these are the very regular annotations we will use. So today we'll discuss like in the last session we're done with model, right? So I will give the definitions for the each annotations. I will give the definition for the each annotation. So model annotation which is used for which marks which declared class as model, which declares class as model, class as model. Normally model is nothing but normal Java classes only. We are converting normal Java class into the model. We are converting normal Java class into the model. And the next one is so for the value map value. So there we have the multiple like definitions actually. So generally like it will which will marks field as injectable, field as injectable. This is the one definition, and I will tell one more definition also. So as of now, you can remember this one. Value map value, which will marks field as the injectable, field as the injectable. And next we have the named annotation, named annotation, which declare the name for the injection, which declare the name for the injection, name for the injection, which will declare, which declares, which declares name for the injection. Okay, name for the injection. Name for the injection. Okay, fine. Next up, we have the annotation that is at the rate inject annotation. Okay, at the rate inject annotation. So for this, injecting the data, injecting the data from dialog, from the dialog. So generally, how the definition it should be. For example, we author the dialog, we author the dialog, we author the dialog. I can mention we author the dialog. So dialog towards the Java objects, towards the Java objects. we author the dialog towards the Java objects. For example, so we have, I can mention, for example, we have the field text field, text field, okay, text field. It will store, it will store, it stores, okay, it stores content node, right? It stores content node, content node, okay. So the purpose of at the rate inject is to bring it back to the HTML, to bring it back to the HTML. This is the thing actually. Are you guys clear with my point? At the rate inject is the annotation which is used to inject the data from the dialog. Normally, when the author the data will be stored in the content node, and so we will bring back to the HTML by using the at the rate inject annotation. At the rate inject annotation. So, for example, I have taken the text field. So, if you, for example, if you take the one text field, the text field it will be stored in the format of JSR content, right? This is the JSR content. JSR content, JSR content node, and to bring it back to the HTML. To bring it back to the HTML, then we will use the at the rate injector. Then we will use the at the rate injector. Are you guys clear with my point? Next, we have the self annotation. So, self annotation, which is used to inject one Sling model into current Sling model. One Sling model, one Sling model into current Sling model. Current Sling model. Okay, current Sling model. And next we have the OEJ service generally. So OEJ service is the annotation. So generally the purpose of OEJ service annotation basically. So normally, so going forward we will learn what is OEJ component and OEJ service. Okay. So for example, there we can assume there multiple services will be there. If you want to inject the service OEJ service into the Sling model, then you should use OEJ service. Okay. So if we have, I can mention, if you have multiple services, and if you want to inject, if you want to inject one service, if you want to inject the service into the Sling model, we will use OEJ annotation, OEJ service annotation, OEJ service annotation. Okay, are you guys clear with my point? So, so we'll go with one by one. So in the last session, I will go with the last session. So this is the continuation part to last session. So already the basic Sling model and how to use the basic annotations, and so we did in the last session, right? So this is the continuation for that class only. Now simply I will go to the backend code. So this backend code already we written in the last session. We written in the last session. Okay. Now we'll try with a few of the annotations. For example, where you have the annotation that is the default also. Default annotation at the rate default annotation. Default annotation. The purpose of default annotation, it will provide the text. It will provide the text by default. By default, meaning before authoring, it will provide the text, some text. Okay, before authoring. Before authoring. Okay, and next we have the annotation that is the required annotation. Required annotation. So required annotation, it will specify the field should be required. It will specify the field should be specified. Required, meaning mandatory. Mandatory to author. Mandatory to author. Mandatory to author. Okay. So now I will go with one by one. For example, This we did in the last session. Now what I will do, so first I will take the default annotation. So how will you take? Simply you can take at the rate. Uh, this is the pixel only. Now, so I will take the default. For example, this is the some text, right? So before authoring, I need to display some text. Okay, by default I need to display some text. So for that purpose we have the annotation, that is the default annotation. So you can select the default annotation, and for example here you can mention some text which is basically values equal to, so you can mention in string format. You can mention in string format. For example, now I can mention like iPhone 16 like that. I can mention. So what this annotation will do, before authoring itself, it will this annotation, it will display this text. It will display this text. Okay, and so every time in your case, what you will do. So if you write this, I would say annotation, and you can build and you can see the result. Okay, so through that you can get the clarity how it is working. Okay, that is the default annotation. And second one is, so for example, required annotation. Required annotations meaning, so you mandatorily should author. You need to give the input. For example, if I mention required annotation, so if I would like to mention required annotation, okay, then I'm saving this one. Now I will. This is the description. So now I will build and then we'll see how the both annotations are working. Then so simply can open command prompt and then you can view the build. Can build. Okay. What is training from? So in the interview perspective, every interview, Sling models is the very regular topic. So they compulsory they will ask the question for the Sling model. So without Sling model, there is uh, any interview compulsory Sling model is the compulsory. Okay. Without Sling model, no interviewer they won't take the any interviews. Okay. Sling model is the mandatory. Sling model is the mandatory, and annotations is also mandatory. They will ask like what is purpose of the at the rate inject, and what is the purpose of value map value, and what is the difference between the value map value and at the rate inject. So like that questions they will ask in the interview. Like that questions they will ask the interview. Okay, so model meaning, so normal Java class we are annotating, we are converting into the model by using the at the rate model. Value map value is the annotation which will marks as the injectable, which will marks as the injectable. Okay, named is the annotation which declare the name for the injection. Name for the injection. So what we'll try to understand this one. Now I will go with the at the rate name annotation. So generally in Java, so some words it won't allow. For example, this kind of symbols it won't allow. Okay, in Java, this kind of symbols it won't allow. So generally we are writing the Java language, right? But in Java, this east symbol is not allowed actually. Not allowed. If I want to inject any property, so the property which contains this east symbol, then at the time I can use the at the rate named annotation. At the time I can use the named annotation. So that one also I will show you generally. For example, I will go to the content node, CRST, and I will go to my page. You can go with content node, content folder. Next, demo, US, EN, JSR content, root, container, again container. Next, Apple. If you click on the Apple, now yesterday what we did, this description and this text. So we are using the rate value map value and we are reading the data. So now my requirement is I want to read this data, like which is the name is the variable name is sling colon resource type. I want to read the data available in this variable. So if I want to read this one, so which is having the east symbol, right? So in Java, east symbol is not supported. Each symbol is not supported. So at the time we'll use the at the rate named annotation. At the rate named annotation. So that also I will show you simply. So this one is done. Build a success, and then you can go to your page. Localhost start.html. Open sites. You can go with the page, en page. Edit the page. Now come down. This is the Apple page, right? So I'm deleting this Apple page, Apple component, and again I am dragging the Apple component. Apple component. If I click on the Apple component, so what I am getting? I am getting the error, right? So what kind of error I am getting? If you go down, if you go down, 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 down. So here, uh, if you read this one, no inject is returned a null value. And if you can you please read this one, could not inject private java.lang.string. Basically it is looking for some injection, meaning it is looking for some inputs. Basically there we are mentioning required, right? Required meaning, so you mandatorily should author the data. Without authoring the data, it will display the message like this. So how will you overcome this one? Simply what you will do, you can open the dialog and you can configure the content. So for example, if I open the dialog and here I will give some text I am giving. Okay, so this is some text I am giving. Okay, now we are getting the data. So generally the purpose of a required is whenever you mention the required for the field, so you mandatorily should author the that field. Without authoring the field, then it will throw the error. So you have to mandatorily you have to author the data. Okay, and next one is required is okay, and the next one is the default one. So default one, the default text is this one, iPhone 16. So that one we'll see the text, what text it is coming. Again, you can delete this one. You can add the component. Again, you can open the dialog, and here you can give Krishna. By default, it is coming Krishna. Now, instead of Krishna, you need to get this one, iPhone 16. That is actually our requirement, and this is, you can check the bundle timestamp actually. Go to your system console, operations, web console, and then you can go with OGI and then bundles. Now you can look for your bundle jar name like a demo dot jar. If you click on demo dot core, if you click on it, then you can get the bundle timestamp 438. Okay, fine. Now at the rate default one, this one we will mention with any other one. Okay. Now, so instead of value map value, if you take the at the rate inject also, it will work. For example, if I take instead of value map value, so yesterday we did the all the backend by using the value map value. So today you can take with the at the rate inject also. So that is also it will work. For example, I will take the at the rate inject, so which is Java X. Okay, I am replacing with all by using the value map value. Instead of this one I am replacing with at the rate inject. Next here also injector, and here also injector. Okay, here also inject, here also inject. Okay, so the difference I will tell you. So when exactly we'll go with the at the rate inject and when exactly we'll go with the value map value, difference I will tell you. Okay, so generally, when only the CRXT data you want to get towards the HTML, at the time you can go with CRXT data, meaning dialog data. For example, whenever author the data, so the data will be stored in the content node. Content node meaning that is the CRXT data. So you want to bring the CRXT data towards the HTML, at the time you can go with at the rate injector, at the rate inject and resource start class, resource start class. Okay, and when will you go for the value map value, I will tell you. Okay. So this we are not using this one. So now if I deploy this one, then I can get the same result. For example, I will go here and then again I will do the deployment. I will do the deployment and then we'll see like we did the program by using the value map value. Now we are using we are replacing instead of value map value, we are replacing with at the rate inject, and then we'll see our code is working fine or not. Okay. And so value map value, we have the one more actual definition. Value map value. So that is generally, I will do some switch. So which is used to fetch the data, from one request adaptability, adaptability, fetch the data from one request adaptability from different parameters, for key value pairs, key comma value pairs, it stores in Java, stores in Java, stores in Java, stores in Java. So here, so the thing is, we can fetch the front end, fetch the front end. We can fetch the front end objects, request parameters. Okay, request parameter through objects, through objects. towards the Java, toward the Java. Okay. So generally, value map value. So they will ask the difference between the value map value and inject. The main difference is, so if you go with the only inject, so in this case, if you read this one, inject the data from the dialog. Inject the data from the dialog. For example, when you author the data dialog, the dialog data will be stored in the content node. Okay. So to bring it back to the HTML, at the time you can go with the @inject. So simply you can remember, so you can take the CRXT data towards the HTML. So at the time you can go with @inject. But in case of value map value, in case of value map value, for example, like yesterday we will use some use option, right? For example, data SLY use equal to, we have taken some model, right? Data SLY, I can mention with the data SLY use dot some model equal to, here we have given some path, right? This is the object. So if you want to use this object, if you want to use this object, then you can go with the value map value. This object, or for example, if you use the value map value, I will open CRXT and then I will tell you. I will open CRXT. So, yeah, if you use the value map value, then it will inject the data that is this default one, like JCR created, JCR created by, JCR lost modified, JCR lost modified by. So it will inject the all the data. It will inject all the data. But if you go with the @inject, it will read only variable value only. It will read only variable value only. Okay. Generally, @inject, it will read the only individual value. In case of value map value, it will read all the node related data, all the node related data. So that is the one major difference. And the second major difference is, so generally value map value, when we will go with the value map value generally, so the front end to back end. Okay, front end to back end. So sometimes we will take the front end to back end data. At the time we can go with the value map value, value map value. Okay, so those two are the major differences. @inject is the annotation which will read the individual data, and value map value is the annotation and which will take the data in the format of key value pairs. Key value pairs. For example, if you observe here, so this is in the format of key value, right? Key and value, key and value. So by default, it will read all the data like JSR created and JSR created by. So generally, it will read all the node related data. But in case of @inject, it will read only variable data only. Okay, it will read only variable data. So that is the major difference. We need to understand that one. Very regular question in the interview. What is the difference between @inject and @value map value? Is the very regular question. Very regular question. Okay. So this is CRXT2 towards the HTML, and this is front end to back end to again HTML. So that is the thing you have to understand. @inject value map value. Okay. Now I can go with, so the deployment is done. Now I can go with the page, EN page. I am going to the EN page and I am reloading again EN page. Now I can call the Apple component. So by default, it will throw the error and we will give some description. So the description is some description, and when I author the data, so then it is working. When I author the data, then it is working. Okay, so if I use the @inject also, it will work. If I use the value map value also, it will work. Okay, so @inject, it will read only specific data, individual data, but value map value, it will read all the node related data, like node JCR node created by whom. Okay, node last modified. So it will load all the node related data. That is the major difference. That is the major difference. Okay, next one we have the annotation, that is the at the rate named annotation. So that will I will show you. Or I can go with. So now as of now my requirement is I need to read this data, like whatever the here this is the variable. This variable is holding the some path, right? So I need to read the path. So for that purpose, what I will do, I will go to my simply first I will copy this one, Sling resource type, and now I am going to at the rate inject. So for example, here I would like to use this one. So if I directly can I take like this. So in the previous sessions, so in the content node, however the names will be there. So simply you can copy there and then we have pasted in the last section. So if I take like this, then it is throwing the error. Why? Because in Java, this each symbol is not allowed. This each symbol is not allowed. If any symbols is not allowed, then we will use at the rate inject, at the rate named annotation. So now what I will do, I will take some, I will take the annotation that is at the rate named annotation. Named annotation, you can use this named annotation, and here you can mention value equal to, so actual name here you can give. So here you can give any name. So what will happen here? So it will replace this name, it will replace with this one. So whatever the data it is holding, so the data it will give to this variable. The data it will give to this variable. Okay. Now I can save this one and you can go to the method. You can go to the method. Here you can mention SR, SRT. Okay. You can mention SRT and then you can save this one. You can save this one. Now you can go to and you can again you can build and deploy and then you can see the result. And one more question also in the interview panel they will ask, what is the difference between these two types? Basically, how many ways you can adapt in the Sling models? Two ways, right? Resource data class and Sling HTTP servlet request. In the interview panel, they will ask, okay, we can adapt the Sling models in two ways. That is good. Okay, fine. Then uh, when should I go with resource data class and when should I go with String HTTP servlet request data class? That is also they will ask the question. Are you guys clear with my point? So the generally resource data class, like whenever you want to read only dialog data, whenever you want to read only dialog data, at the time you can go with resource data class. At the time you can go with resource data class. For example, like the author will go to the dialog and the author the data and the data will be stored in the JSON content, and to bring it back to towards the HTML. So at the time you can simply you can go with the resource data class. At the time you can go with the resource data class. But in case of Sling, so directly you can tell we can inject global objects. We can inject global objects. So that is the straightforward definition. And here we can inject dialog data. We can inject dialog data. Dialog data. Are you guys clear with my point? So if you want to read the CRXT data, at the time you can go with the resource data class. And if you want to read the global objects, so global objects meaning, so Adobe team already they provided some objects to us. So I will show you what are the global objects we have. Now we can come to here and we can look for the global objects. Global objects. Global objects. Okay, HTML global objects. If you click on it, these all are global objects. Okay, These are the global objects. These are the out of the objects, right? If you want to use, so this every global object has their own purpose. If you want to use these global objects, you mandatory should use the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class only. So through the resource we cannot possible. So you mandatory should use Sling HTTP servlet request dot class only. Through that only you can achieve. Through that only you can achieve. Okay. So generally I will write one of the program on it, Sling HTTP servlet request dot class also. Then you can you can get the clarity on it. So now we did at the rate name annotation, right? Now I will go to my page, page. I can reload the page. Now if you observe demo components, path is coming. How path is coming? We are using the at the rate named annotation. Okay, so in previous case there some text is coming. Now path is coming. How the path is coming? This is the variable name, and in the variable name it is showing it stores some path. So in the Java, so east is not allowed. That is the reason we used some I would say at the rate named annotation, and we are declaring the name for the injection. So simply what we did here, that one we are taking inside the double quotation, and this is our wish. So based on, we can give any name here. Okay, so what will happen here internally? So it will take the data and it will give to this variable. Okay, so this is the purpose of at the rate named annotation. And next one, what we have, second approach. This is also very regular questions. When will you go for the resource dot class, and when will you go for the Sling HTTP server request dot class? So whenever you want to read the dialog data, at the time you can go with the resource dot class. Whenever you want to read the global objects meaning Adobe team, predefined objects actually. If you want to read the predefined objects, at the time you can go with the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. So global objects are some HTML objects. Like yesterday we created some objects, right? If you want to read the HTML objects, then you can go with the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Object related data you can fetch by using the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Okay, now we'll write some on it. So simply what you will do, you can come, have the interface, right? So here I will take the method that is page title. Page title, get a phone page title. The method name you can give anything. Again, phone page title. Okay, and you can save this one, and then you can go to your file, and it is asking to override the method. You can click on the bulb symbol, then you will get the override implemented method, and get phone page, and you can come here the document HTML global objects. So these are the global objects. Like properties also one global object. Properties like daily we used properties, right? So properties also one global object. Next page properties also one global object. Inherited page properties also one global object. And if you come down, so these are the global objects. And whenever you are using the global objects, so you should use this variable name only. This is the fixed variable name. We have to use this variable name only. Instead of this one, if you use anyone, it won't work. Okay, you have to use this name only. Okay, this is the actual the package path where it is available, and this is the variable name. This is the variable name. So current node, current page, current session, current style, designer, edit text, context, log out, page manager, reader. So among those we'll go with one. I will show you one of the example, then we'll get the clarity on it. So if you want to use this predefined objects, you should use the annotation that is the script variable. Script variable. can come here, can take at the rate script variable. Script variable. This is the annotation you have to use. Script variable. Okay. Can click on it. Script variable, and then now my requirement is I need to get the my page title. So actually my page title I need to get. So for getting the page title, if you see here, so this is the class actually. The class name is the API.page and this is the current page. So my requirement is I need to get the page title. I want to use this one. So simply what I will do, I will take the page, and then so whenever you are looking for the page, so then it will suggest there are lot of actually packages. So among those, how will you select the specific one? You can come to the package, and if you look for this one, the package name com day cq wcm api.page, right? So simply there also can go here, and whenever you are looking for the page, among those we can select wcm.api. Okay, you can select this one only, and the variable name also you should give this one only. The variable name also you should use current page. You can copy this one, and then you can come here, you can give here. Okay, so where we have taken one method, right? This method. Okay, now you can copy this variable name, and inside the variable name, this is a predefined class. This predefined class having the multiple methods actually, multiple methods. So here I am using the variable, and I am using inside the variable. This is the object. Inside the object, it contains multiple methods. These are the methods it contains. Among those, I am using the get page title. Okay. Among those, I am using the get page title. Okay. Okay, and then I can save this one. Now I can do the deployment. Are you guys clear with the annotations? So this annotation we'll discuss in coming sessions actually. So OEJ service is the different concept actually. Okay, OEJ is the different topic. Okay, so at the time we will discuss. So self annotation also we will use not frequently. So occasionally we will use. Okay, normally if you want to inject one Sling model into the another Sling model, at the time you can mention with at the rate self annotation, and then we will use. Okay, these are the basic annotations. In the interview panel, they will ask at the rate model, value map value, at the rate named annotation, and at the rate inject annotation, at the rate self, at the rate OEJ service, at the rate default, at the rate required, at the rate value map value, and they will ask the difference. What is the difference between the at the rate inject and value map value? Value map value. Okay, so at the rate inject is the annotation which is used to read the dialog data. Dialog data. When author the data will be stored in the JSON content. To bring the JSON content data towards the HTML, at the time you can go with at the rate inject. But in case of value map value, so to fetch the data from request adaptability from different parameters in the format of key value page, stores in the Java objects, stores in the Java, and in the HTML objects to bring it back to the towards the Java. At the time you can go with the value map value. So generally here what will have how it seems to be front end to back end to front end, like that. Front end to back end and back end to front end, like that we will use. And normally if you want to take the all the node related properties, at the time you can use the value of value also. Okay, so two purposes you can understand two purposes. Next one is the name declaration. We can declare the name for the injection. We can declare the name for the injection. Okay, next one is okay. Now the deployment is done, and now we can go with this is the method name, right? You can copy this method name, and you can go to your HTML. Can reload the HTML. Can reload the CRXT. You can go to your HTML file, demo components, Apple, about Apple, apple.html. You can open apple.html. Now here you can take one more div, page title. You can mention some dummy text page title uh, at the rate some page equal to or equal to some dollar, and then here you can mention phone. This is the object name, right? Phone dot that getter method. Getter method we have to follow the characters page title, and then you can close, and div tag also should close. Div tag also should close. Okay, you can save this one. Now you can simply can go your page, and then this is the previous text, right? Now we can reload the page. Page title equal to, so here it needs to display it. Div page title equal to phone dot phone page title. So simply you can come here, get page title, script variable, can come to the script variable page. ఇది జనరల్గా ఆబ్జెక్ట్, ఇందులో చాలా మెథడ్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆ మెథడ్స్లో నా పేజ్ టైటిల్ కావాలని చెప్పేసి అడుగుతున్నాం, అప్పుడు అది పేజ్ టైటిల్ని రిటర్న్ చేస్తాం. ఇది ఆబ్జెక్ట్. ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్లో చాలా మెథడ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఆ మెథడ్స్ని డాట్ పెట్టి యాక్సెస్ చేస్తాం. ఇందులో గెట్ పేజ్ టైటిల్ ఇస్తాము, అండ్ ఇది మెథడ్ కాబట్టి మనం పారాంథసిస్ మెన్షన్ చేస్తాము, అండ్ దెన్ యూ కెన్ సేవ్ దిస్ వన్. Now what it will do generally, it will current page, the package we have inputted, that is the WCM API dot page, and the current page script variable annotation is the right. So generally this is the global variable, right? So if it is the global variable, we have to take which adaptable, second one, right? But we are trying to taking the first one, so that is the reason. So now you can change with, you can use two also. How will you use? You can take the curly braces. Here you can mention second one is string http servlet request dot class, string http servlet request dot class, request dot class. Okay, and then you can close this one, and then you can mention. So we have to import the package actually. So once again, at the time of writing the Sling Sling HTTP server request dot, it will give the suggestions. Okay, you can pick this one and then give the dot and then class. Okay, now you can save this one, and so now the both will work. So what is the purpose of this one? So the dialog data it will read. Okay, what it will do? It will read the global object data. So now the both will work. Okay, now you can save the file, and then you can do the deployment one more time. You can do the deployment one more time, and then you can see the result. Annotations are very important. Okay. Build a success, and then now you can go to your page. This is the previous one, right? You can reload the page. Now you can drag the component one more time. Add to component. Now, why the error is coming? You can go down. You can see this one, which is no injector return, not null value. You can go to the where you can mention somewhere required, right? We mentioned the required, right? Now you should author the dialog. You can go to the dialog and you can author the dialog. You can author the dialog. So the dialog you can give some any description. Okay, and then you can author. Now you can give the author. Again, then go to the back code. You can cross check one more time. Sling HTTP servlet request atlas, and can calm down. Script variable, we are taking the script variable, and here we are passing a resource dot class and Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Okay. Now we'll remove this required actually. Okay. And here you can mention default injection strategy optional. So that is also okay. A description, script variable, and then now you can mention with get phone page title. Okay, then you can save this one. Now you can do the deployment one more time. Done or not? Deployment is wrong. Can delete already existing components. So actually you have dragged the component 3 times. Can delete the dragged components. This one also can delete. Now freshly you can add the component. Apple component you can add. Apple component you can add. Now iPhone 16 is coming, right? This is the default one. And page title is gone. So we need to write one more time. You can refresh the CRXT and here you should write one more time. So the thing is div, I can mention page title equal to, here you should take the script variable phone dot the method name is this one, right? Phone page title. You can copy this method name and then you can simply, you can come here dot phone name page title and then you can mention here and you can close the div tag. You can close the div tag. So I can save this one. Now you can go to the en page and you can reload the page. Now you can see the page title is coming on. Now if you see the page title is coming. How I am getting the page title? I am getting the page title by using the Sling HTTP servlet request class. Sling HTTP servlet request class. Sling HTTP servlet request class. I will explain one more time. So generally already you know about Sling models, right? So Sling model generally AEM is the architecture which is created by using the 3 frameworks. One is the Sling framework, second one is the JSR framework, third one is the OEZ. Okay, Sling is also one of the RESTful web framework. The main purpose of the Sling framework is which is used to map the request to resource. That is the purpose of the Sling framework. Okay. Next, whenever you are writing the Sling model, you can write the Sling model in 2 ways. One is the resource dot class, second one is the Sling HTTP servlet request class. So each one have the each purpose actually. So when will you go for the resource dot class and when will you go for the Sling HTTP request dot class? This is the regular question in the interview perspective they will ask. Resource dot class is the adaptable where whenever author the dialog. So if you want to read the dialog data only at the time, meaning CRXT data at the time you can go with the resource dot class. Okay, Sling HTTP servlet request dot class is the to read the global objects. To read the global objects or to read the HTML objects at the time you can go with Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Okay, so if anyone they will ask like what is the difference between the resource dot class Sling HTTP servlet request dot class, the basic thing is if you want to read the CRXT data you can go with resource dot class. If you want to read the global objects, what does it mean by again what does it mean by global objects? Global objects meaning predefined objects actually. So adaptability they given to us some predefined objects actually. Okay, if you want to use the predefined objects at the time, you can go with Sling HTTP servlet request class. Okay, and annotations also very important. So annotations, what are the annotations we have in Sling model? So first one is the model. So what the purpose of model is? Sling models is nothing but normal Java classes only. We will convert normal Java class into the model by using @ model annotation. Okay, next we have the value map value. Value map value is the annotation. It will read the node and node properties also, like JSR created, JSR modified, JSR updated. So it will read all the node related data. But in case of inject, it will read only variable data, like only it will read the only value. But in case of value map value, it will read all the node related properties in the format of key value pair. Okay. Next, at the rate named annotation, which is used to declare the name for the injection. So some symbols are not allowed in the Java. So that is the reason we will give the some any other name instead of that. So we will use the at the rate named annotation. At the rate self annotation, one Sling model we can inject into the another Sling model. We can go with at the rate self annotation. Next, we have the OEJ service. So, OEJ service, if you want to inject one service into the Sling model, you can go with the OEJ service annotation. Next, we have the default. If you want to display some default text, at the time you can go with default annotation. Next, required meaning, the field you must be author. If you author only, then it will accept. If not author, it will throw the error. Okay, these are the differences. When will you go for the resource dot class? When will you go for the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class? And what is the purpose of at the rate inject, and what is the purpose of value map value, and what is the difference between the value map value and at the rate inject? At the rate inject. So what you guys will do? So you can practice all the annotations at the rate required, at the rate default, at the rate OEJ service, at the rate self service. Next, these two adaptables also you can use resource dot class and Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. If you observe in our program, so I have used both. Okay, so this here we are injecting the data by using the resource dot class, and this we are injecting the global objects by using the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class, by using the Sling HTTP servlet request dot class. Okay, so we have to do the assignment is by using all the annotations: model, value map, value, named, inject. Okay, self annotation. This you can skip. This one, this two you can leave. Normally definition you can remember. Okay, and next one is the default required. This is the thing. Okay, this you can practice the programs. You can do the programs on by using all the annotations, and you can do the program, and you can take the screenshot of it, and then you can share in the groups. Same thing. Okay, so this is all about Sling models annotations.